Hello, this is Tairan Wang. Now I'm gonna talk about the part two of the AI experiment, this second version I have tried for this week. So this week I have combined the behavior tree system with the some AI stuff like the net mesh and the interaction with the enemy, such as the detection. So the system is like that. There's a top selector, and we will check between enemy detection and switch between points. Actually, switch between points, just wandering around between many points, many positions. And in the enemy detection, we are gonna check the enemy, and then we are going to the fitting enemy selector. Actually, it's a sequence. The fitting enemy selector will check between the those two those two, and it will check if the player is facing the enemy directly forward by the enemy angle check. And if yes, it will shoot the enemy, else it will rotate to the enemy to face it directly forward. So now let's have a look at what I've did. So as we can see, firstly the player will just wandering around. Actually, it should work just as it detects the enemy. It will try to rotate to that direction, like that. Actually, you can see the rotation, but as the enemy uh, is out of range, it will just keep wandering around. Actually, those two are the left eye and the right eye of the player, and those points are the special points of the. Okay, it's trying to fighting the enemy, but as the enemy is going outside, well, it looks like it still has some issue when detecting the enemy, or it's just going to the um, wandering state. Okay, now let's have a look at the um, scripts did I've done. So the first one is the check enemy node. Actually, what I've done used are just the um, node and the sequence. Just will check if all of them are success, and the selector check if any of them is success. Then for the first node is the check enemy node. So as the check enemy node, we are gonna set reference to the left eye and right eye and use them to detect the enemy. And actually, the detection is in the AI script. Firstly, I'm gonna use the collider to detect the enemy. Then, if it's true, the transform will be recorded, and we are gonna use the recast hit to check if there's anything between them, between the player and the enemy. If yes, if it will return failure. If no, it will return just a success. Then it will go to the selector fitting image. And next we are gonna check the enemy angle check. Actually, we're gonna do this one. We set a reference to the gun transform, which is directly in front of the enemy. The player, sorry, just it will show if anything is directly in front of the player, and we use those functions to see the direction, and if the direction is um, completely equals to the enemy direction, it will return success, but actually it may never returns completely equal, and I will figure it out later, maybe for the Sparta Arena. And next one, I'm gonna see the shoot. It's just pretty easy. Just call the AI attacking and print attacking, but it will never be called in this script actually, due to the check issue. And next one is the rotate to the enemy. And it's just set some references and use the vector 3 things to check which direction to rotate. And next one, I'm gonna see the switch between points. Actually, it's just wandering around. And we use the navmesh agent set references and just go between those points if it's very close to a point or just randomly it wants to change a direction. Finally, we are going to the AI to set the behavior tree system. So we want the list of transform, and we set several references to set later. And after the reference setting, we are gonna construct the tree of constructing all of the node first. After constructing all of the nodes, we set the sequence enemy angle, including enemy angle check, and shoot it the selector facing enemy, including the enemy angle sequence and the rotate node, the sequence enemy detection, including check enemy and facing enemy, and finally is the top selector, including enemy detection and wandering around. We're gonna evaluate the whole system by the update, and that's pretty it. But actually now, okay, that's pretty it.